Well, good morning, New Ground. I'm recording this on Thursday morning, which should be today when you see this, hopefully. And I just had some thoughts for this morning as trying to continue to navigate how to connect. One of the things that's been interesting to me and something I've thought about for a very long time, and I may have talked about this before, but how do you view interruptions? And I don't just mean, the people that, interrupt you at the office, but even in this time now where there's an interruption of routine, right? There's an interruption of the rhythms that we have been used to. And I've heard some of these comments over the last few days. I feel like one day of being sequestered is like 3 weeks. That was in lieu of our shelter-in-place order in Michigan. I've had some other people say, it's really forced me to slow down, and I'm having a hard time with it. I have some people saying I'm having a harder time sleeping. I feel more exhausted each day. And hearing a lot of those types of comments lately. So just to let you know that you're not alone in that. At the same time, maybe just to consider in this interruption of routine that our interruptions are maybe appointed. Have you ever thought about that? It's interesting to me, and I've done this a lot, to view my interruptions as a bad thing, a disservice, a disruption of what is supposed to be going on, or how to live the right way. And maybe our interruptions are God's way of telling us to pay attention, right? We talked about that in the passage last week on Sunday, to pay attention, to be alert, to look. And as I've been thinking through that, of asking God, what are the things that you're up to now? What am I missing? What am I not seeing that has been good about this? As difficult as it is, as anxious as some of you feel, as exhausted as you feel, and I definitely feel that exhaustion as well. Here's some things that I've thought about of what this interruption of routine has done for me and for our church. It's forced us into trying things that we've been wanting to do for a while, but just never gave the time to do it. It's accelerated things that I think we really need to do, meetings that we've really needed to have, conversations that should have taken place a while back. It's also provided clarity on why our weekly gatherings on Sunday are so vital. Just thinking about even worshiping online together and the sacredness of that and how welcome it is. I mean, obviously we long for the normal. We long for something that is routine to us, but even more so, gathering together weekly like that is still such a special time. And as weird it is for me to pre-record those things and even watch myself as I'm chatting with you, it's still been glorious to gather together then. It's also proven to me the value of face-to-face connections, hasn't it? I mean, even virtually, as we've used technology, I've been using technology to video conference, which that's been amazing. I've learned so much more about that to make it a much more useful tool in the future for our church and for other meetings. I'm really grateful for that, and I'm excited about that. But it's also proven just the value of face-to-face connections. I mentioned before we had the shelter-in-place order that our praise band got together to record a couple weeks of songs. You'll see some of that this Sunday. And just being together with that small group of people was just such an amazing feeling. So I'm hoping you see the value of face-to-face connections. And in essence, for us, and if you've been around New Ground for a while, we talk about table to table. You can read more about that on our website if you don't know what I'm talking about. But it's really an initiative in deeper relationships. And a lot of the table aspect is seeing people face-to-face. It's not just about virtual, which that can also be a table, which we're trying to do right now, right? I mean, that definitely is. But it's about the deepening relationships, and there's a value in that. It's opened us up to new ways of doing ministry. I'm really excited about the avenues that it opens up. And I'm really impressed and just motivated by, even though we're a smaller church and I see all sorts of resources out there and I'm always on the watching feeds on that, how incredible our people are in being creative with what to do with how we navigate church. Just so impressed. We have such talented and gifted people here. It just opened us to new ways of doing that. Excited about that. It's helped me establish some more regular spiritual practices again. I mean, I've been doing those, but just even more of those things, or things that I've done in the past that have been rich, that I'm returning to again. I'm really grateful for that. It's forced me into more self-reflection, which is great for the season of Lent, isn't it? I mean, Lent is a season of self-reflection, and so it's obviously given you and given me a lot more time to do that in this day and age, and it's provided an avenue for conversation with others that I would not have had otherwise. And especially ways to share and proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ with people that maybe I didn't have those conversations with before, that have just opened up that way. So maybe as you're thinking through the interruption of routine and rhythm, to be asking God, what are you up to right now with me? What is something in me that you wanting to sharpen? Because I think God is really using this time to sharpen all of us. And for some, to wake people up, right? For some, as an invitation to come to Him. I remember yesterday as we were working, and both my wife Julie and I are at home. She was telling me she's feeling pretty tired and exhausted in the middle of the afternoon, and I just said, "Hey, take a nap," and she did. And it was a glorious thing because it really helps her. I mean, when you work at home, the rhythm's obviously interrupted. We don't have young kids around, so we're able to do that. Some of you aren't able to do that in the middle of the afternoon, but it allowed her to kind of work more hours into the evening as well as me. I was working till 10 o'clock last night, so listen to your body in a lot of ways. I mean, I definitely feel the exhaustion for sure. But maybe that's a moment of, I think, really teaching us how much our busyness has distracted us from connecting with God. And maybe if you haven't done it before, take a walk outside. Use it as a time of prayer and self-reflection. And it looks a little cloudy today, but maybe you take an umbrella with you. I'm not sure what the weather is. I haven't looked. Maybe you memorize a verse or text as you go and recite that, or even more, if you have a smartphone, record yourself reading a text and listen to it over and over again as you're walking, and ask God to speak a word to you and reflect on that. Maybe you can try the Psalms and the Proverbs plan I mentioned earlier in the week. Take a day of the week, today's the 26th, and read that chapter of Proverbs. And you could also do that with Psalms. Read Psalm 26, add 31, and read the next Psalm. Now today, if you do that, just know you're running to Psalm 119, which is a really big one, so brace yourself. But that's another thing you can do. Maybe you can say the Lord's Prayer as you're washing your hands. I love that suggestion from Fawn Jackson. That was ever since I heard her say that. I don't know if it was a social media page or I don't remember where I heard it from her, but I've been doing that since, and it's been wonderfully centering for me as I wash my hands. Take advantage of the prayer meeting times on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 6:30. We're meeting again tonight, so if you're part of the email list, you've already got the info on how to connect by phone. Take advantage of that. It was a wonderful time Tuesday, and looking forward to tonight. We're actually going to be praying through some scripture together. I hope you can be a part of that. It was just a wonderful time of being together. Look, I know you're tired. I know some of you are more anxious, and I would just challenge you that maybe for you, this is a way that God is trying to get your attention, to have you let go of things that you really can't control, but have been trying to let this new interruption be an opportunity to submit more of yourself to His control and not yours. And maybe you're listening to this somehow and you are on the fence with God. Maybe as the anxiety builds and the uncertainty grows, maybe It's taking you a step back to consider. And I think one of the things God wants us to do is let him be the center of our lives. And that means letting go of things we can't control and letting him be in charge. And maybe this interruption is a time for us to wake up, to see that again. I would just challenge you to think about those things today. I mean, the season of Lent is one that invites more self-reflection in the inner work, right? To really be a human being and not a human doing, right? In essence, I think God is trying to make us more holy, to make us more like Christ. There's a great quote from one of my mentors, Chuck DeGroat. He's actually a professor at Western Seminary in Holland, Michigan. Has a wonderful book called Wholeheartedness. And in one of those chapters, he talks about holiness. And I kind of want to just share this thought with you, this quote from him about holiness, because I think it's a really interesting way to look at it in light of being interrupted and thinking about the disruption of our busyness. He says this, people often say to me, "You speak a lot about wholeness, but doesn't the Bible focus on holiness?" Behind this question, I hear the subtle voice of the inner critic. The inner critic being that voice that talks in your head that speaks those kind of negative things. The subtle voice of the inner critic lurking, whispering, surely there's more to do, more prayers to say, more discipline to enforce, more progress to make. And so we're driven to excel, to ascend, to climb the religious ladder up into the Holy of Holies. Indeed, no matter the religious tradition, some sort of ascent into the holiest of places seems required for spiritual maturation. Progress is reserved for the dedicated, the devoted, the disciplined. Purity is reserved for the set apart, those who've managed to flee every kind of evil that might every kind of evil that might corrupt. Those who've risen beyond earthly things. Those who do attain holiness are seen to be saintly, to have a kind of ethereal and otherworldly countenance that reminds the unholy of their remaining imperfections. But what if holiness was more like the elusive wholeness that we've been considering? What if spiritual maturation, spiritual maturity, was not so much about ascent, but about descent, about falling into wholeness? What if purity was about union and not about separation? What if holiness was available to all and not merely to the select few conquerors of sin and the devil? I love those thoughts. Hope it gives you some encouragement and challenge today to take a step back and consider how God is trying to help you let go of some things and to take the path of descent, to invite you into that. It's a hard thing to do. We want to be in control, but I think God continues to want us to let go of things. And this time is definitely a wake-up call to continue us in that rhythm. Well, I'm sure this is longer than I intended, but that's fine. I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff. But couple things to let you know in case you didn't pay attention to the email update yesterday. We are looking for you to share your story, your testimony with us, and we want to feature those on Sundays during our gatherings and at other times as well. And in this video, if you look in the description, I'm going to put this on YouTube, is a link for a Dropbox to drop your video. You can do that on your phone. You could also do that from your computer. I mentioned that if you do it by computer or Android phone, you have to pre-record the video, then send it. If you do it by iPhone, you can actually click the link and make the video right from there. And there's some suggestions in our email update of questions, of different options you can have, of what kind of story you want to share. And so I would just invite you to do that. And maybe even if you say what question you're wanting to respond to and sharing your story, we can share those with our Sunday gatherings and have a time of testimony. I find that very valuable as I've continued to have conversations with people. So that is available to you there. Hope you're also going to join us tonight at 6:30 by phone. Hopefully you're part of the email list. If not, go to our website and subscribe. I'll also have a link for that in the bottom of this video as well. And if you haven't yet, join us online on our YouTube channel. I've also put that in the bottom of this video as well, where our channel is actually located. So hopefully you get a chance to join us online there as well. So anyway, just thought I'd take some space today to encourage and challenge you, and hope you're doing well. Keep in touch with those you're in community with. Feel free to get in touch with us if you have needs. We've kind of done a lot of check-ins in the last couple of days. It seems like so far everyone's doing pretty good as far as needs are concerned. And what's really exciting is watching people kind of share things with one another in our community. So that's been really good. If you still have needs, you can email us at help@newgroundchurch.org. You could also go to our website and fill out an assistance form. That will also get to the same email address as well. So there's lots of ways to do that. Prayer is the same way. You can go prayer@newgroundchurch.org. You could fill out a prayer form online. There's all sorts of ways. Newgroundchurch.org, our front page, has access to all sorts of immediate links. And we're going to continue to add things as we go along on our website, and we're kind of revamping that as well in the process of that. So as we kind of navigate this shelter-in-place order in week 1 of 3 so far, it could be longer. Who knows what's going to happen? But hope you're encouraged and challenged today. Feel free to comment in the video, ask questions. Hope you have a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing some of you on the phone tonight for the prayer meeting. Grace and peace.